We're back and get down to business, and I'm joined by a New York Times best-selling author and one of the most creative minds in business who has spent over 2 decades guiding Fortune 500 boards through disruptive change. Charlene Lee is the co-author of the new book, Winning with AI, the 90-day blueprint for success, written alongside one of the world's first chief AI officers, Dr. Katya Walsh. Charlene believes that a successful AI strategy is defined by the technology itself, but by how that technology serves your core business strategy. And we're going to talk about her battle-tested 12-week roadmap for moving beyond scattered experiments to a systematic approach that creates permanent value. Welcome to the show, Charlene.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You've guided organizations through every major tech disruption in the last 20 years. Why is the AI gap more dangerous for a small business than previous shifts like social media or mobile?
Well, it impacts everything that you do. And social media was primarily impacting customer relationships and marketing. Mobile impacted the channels in which you work, but AI impacts the way you work. And if you can't leverage it and use it, especially as a small business, because as a small business owner, and I've been there in my own path, my career path, there is so much on your plate. And to be able to have this resource and be able to use it gives you a significant competitive advantage. So I think it's one of those must-haves for leaders to understand how to harness it and to use it to your advantage.
I couldn't agree more. And you argue that a strategy isn't defined by technology. How can a founder tell if they are using AI to serve their business or if they've accidentally let the technology start dictating their strategy?
Oh, that's a great question because so many leaders are now looking at AI as just a technology. And so they're just treating it like, what can it do? You can tell that it's working if you're first starting with your strategy and say, this is my strategy. How am I using AI to achieve my strategic objectives better, faster, cheaper, safer, even? And that's a very different mindset. And one starts with your strategy, the other one starts with your technology. And if you let the technology lead you, it'll take you down some really dark alleys.
Absolutely. And in your 90-day blueprints, the first 3 weeks are about getting started with core leadership. For a small, lean team who needs to be in that room to break down silos and drive enterprise-wide value?
Well, I think you need the most important person is the person who can think about the strategy, that you keep everything focused on how you're going to use AI to support your strategy. So there needs to be somebody in that room that holds that ground and holds that focus. You need somebody who understands the technology, how to use it. It is good at building things. They may not be the best technologist. It probably isn't a CIO if you have that role even. And you definitely need somebody who understands their customer, where they're heading, and ideally somebody who understands people and communicates with them. It can understand and help you map out how work will change. Those are the 4 essential roles that have to be in the room.
And you talk about Goldilocks governance. How do you find the just right balance of ethical policy and safety that doesn't kill the speed needed to stay competitive?
Right. Katya has this great quote that structure without flexibility is bureaucracy, and flexibility without structure is just chaos. And you don't want either. And so here's the way to think about it. If you want to go fast, what are the guardrails so that people know what they can do, what they can't do? And then also, how do they make decisions when it's not clear? So just defining what is possible, putting those guardrails in place, I call it scaffolding, and then allowing people to go fast. Because when people know what the boundaries are, you can take them to the very edge of what is possible, show them where it is, and encourage them to stay at that edge rather than be back at the center of comfort and safety. So this is a really disconcerting space. Things are constantly changing. So providing some foundational guidelines and guardrails is a really important thing to do for your people.
I'm chatting with Charlene Lee. And Charlene, on Get Down to Business, we often talk about strategic discomfort. I use that term a lot. And I'm curious, how does the double S matrix, which I'm going to ask you to explain, help a leader say no to interesting AI experiments so they can stay focused on the applications that actually move the needle?
Right. The double S matrix is the first S is for size, of the value, and the other S is for speed to get to that value. And so it's a 2x2 matrix that looks at those things. Things that are not that high in value take forever, dead ends, don't do them. Things that are quick to value but maybe small, quick wins. Things that may take a longer time but very big in value, strategic bets. And then things that are really good value that you can get to right away, those are your momentum makers. And a good example of this is transcriptions. Those are really helpful. Those are quick wins. But what you do with those transcriptions, how you get intelligence, how you look at trends at the end of the week, looking at the sales conversations you had to understand how customer interests and needs are changing, those are the momentum makers, which take a little bit more work, may take more time to integrate into the way you do work. But my goodness, the payoffs on those things could be huge. So
Oh,
really
yeah.
using this to prioritize what's really going to make a difference in your business is the key.
Yeah, and again, you are the co-author of the new book, Winning with AI, the 90-day blueprint for success. And you just talked about Katya, again, one of the world's first chief AI officers. And I'm loving this. In the it, in weeks 8 to 11, as I'm looking over here, they're about making AI value permanent. How does a leader move AI from a cool tool that's used by a few people to a mandate that is integrated into the everyday work of, the entire organization?
Well, it's one thing to have a strategy for your business and a roadmap of how you're going to use AI to support those objectives. It's another thing to build the execution engine behind it. And we look at four building blocks. One is culture. Another one is your people and the skills that they have. Another is the tool set, and then the governance and the decision making process that you have. You need all four of those areas. And we always start with culture. And that's where that leadership mandate is so important. And this is the leader, your CEO, saying AI is the future. We are going to be running towards it because that's where our customers are. We're going to meet them where they are going to be. And these are the changes we're going to make today to meet that future. And the mandate is we're going to figure out how to use AI. We are going to become AI fluent, not just AI literate. Because when you have an organization that understands what AI can do, what it can't do, knows how to use it responsibly and ethically, and knows how to use it in your job every day. So here's one way to get your people more comfortable with AI. When you start a meeting, ask people, how did you use AI to prepare for this meeting? And then show them, model the way. This is how I use AI. And it does two things. It makes it safe. You're not cheating if you use AI. You actually expect it now is the second thing. You're expected to use AI to get your work done. And if you do this constantly and you make it the way you do work, you will have an AI fluent workforce because people are actually using AI to get their work done.
Okay, so the most important question that I'm going to ask you in this conversation is, some of our listeners, I guarantee, are on day one of their AI journey today. So what's the single most critical decision that they need to make this week to ensure that they don't end up with scattered experiments 90 days from now?
Right. I would start just finding something that is mission critical to you, something that's really important, not a side project, something that's really important on your to-do list. And then figure out, you can ask somebody, how can I use AI to help me address this? Pick any of the top three things that you are doing. And here's one little tip. When you're using AI, don't treat it like an answer machine. Like put a question in there and expect it to answer. Put your request in there. And at the end of it, add this one sentence. Before you start, ask me any clarifying questions. Because
Mm.
by doing that, you're changing it from being an answering machine to it being a thought partner. You're going to have a conversation with AI, and that changes completely the way you start using it.
That is genius. I love it. Charlene, this is amazing. Again, the author of the new book, Winning with AI, the 90-day blueprint for success, together with Katya Walsh. It is genius. And again, something that's relevant for big businesses, small businesses alike. And I know this is why you are a New York Times bestselling author and one of the most creative minds in the business. Charlene, how can we find the book? How can we get in touch with you?
You can find the book anywhere books are sold, especially on Amazon and all the different formats. And you can learn more about me and the way I work with people at charlene.lee.com.
Charlene, really, really appreciate you giving us such practical, uh, just tips that we can put into action in the week ahead. I know all the entrepreneurs tuning in have enjoyed and certainly will look forward to getting the book. We're going to squeeze in a quick break for some headlines, commercials. When we come back, we've got a lot more small business jobs and entrepreneurship. I promise. You don't want to touch that dial because we're going to be right back. Check out my website, syklein.com. That's where we have the archive of 13 plus years of shows all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. We'll be right back.